they don't even know what the heck we're talking about because they're just exploring this for the first time. So just for everyone's first time here, this is the monthly pulse that we look at running our spreadsheet through or running our numbers through a spreadsheet so we can see what our true net profit looks like, what our true cost of sales looks like, and what stories it tells. So the one different thing about this month is, and the months moving forward, is I also added an element around the personal budget, tracking what you're spending your money on outside of your business, and if you so choose, what your cash flow is and what your net worth is. So I am going to be tracking my net worth every single month so you can see the decisions that you make in that past month, how it affects your actual net worth versus, you know, your bank accounts and things like that. So we'll spend probably 40 minutes or so in the personal or in the business, and then 20 minutes or so in personal, if I were to guess. But just real quickly, did anyone else look in the personal spreadsheet and track your numbers outside of business?
I did not, Scott. I don't know. I don't think Dawn did either.
Okay. I love that song. Well, it's okay. We're not here to, never here to judge, never here for anything. We're only here just for support, maybe opening your mind and seeing what's possible. I do know what has really triggered that piece of it was Gary Keller's. He's really harping. You can stifle your business by cutting all your expenses. Like if you take a look at the businesses that went through the last recession in 08, 09, not just real estate, but any business, the businesses that took out marketing, they were even or went out of business. The businesses that stayed at their marketing level or increased it, they increased like tenfold. They were the ones that just like plowed through. So we want to be really smart about cutting expenses, but we don't want to take all the kindling and all the wood out of the fire and then just run on empty and expect things to happen. So there's that delicate balance. And his biggest solution is before you cut business expenses, look at your personal budget, see what you can cut out. Every $100 saved in your personal budget could be $100 you could keep in your business budget. Or if you're really like wanted to go, every $100 you save in your personal budget, you can then spend towards your business budget, because the market share you gain right now, you will never lose. And the market share you lose right now, you'll probably never get back. So it's a really, really crucial time right now. And this, I think, is like a mandatory necessary tool that is going to tell us the stories needed before it's too late. And maybe it is a little too late. Maybe it's, you know, you could have known this information 3 months ago, but the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. So we'll go over that. I'll share mine, which is even feels more vulnerable than sharing business expenses. And I think it would be very powerful. So with that intro, does anyone have any questions, or could we get down to business where I would take a look at, I mean, Robbie, are you good if I pull yours up and you guys are the guinea pigs? Okay. So we do just look at this and we are comfortable enough where we share behind the curtain what it takes, what it looks like to run, in this case, the level up team. So if this is your first time, you're never forced to share. We're all encouraged to share, but we'll never make anyone. We just have some really valuable sharing people that we can learn from, and then in turn they learn from us. So here is Robbie's level up, and I'm going to make it about, usually like 150 is good. Is that good for everyone to see?
Looks good here.
Nicole, you're kind of going like this.
I'll make it work.
Let me see if I can do one more. All right. So we're looking at gross commission income goal, which comes from your net income goal and putting through the economic model. But your goal for this year was 1 million. I love the randomness. 1 million, whatever. I don't even know how to say that number. $1,011,092.
Sounds right.
Which looks like you put some thought into that. And then the GCI per month is 84,257. So you've tracked 3 months worth, and this number is 3. So that is looking good. Now, if you compare the 84 grand to each month here, you'll see when it's less, it'll be this shade of red. And when it's that or more, it'll be that shade of green. So tell me about your GCI this year and what stories that tells.
So for anyone that doesn't know, Level Up merged with Team Packard. So we redid all of our goals. So Lisa's first closing with the team was actually in April. So all the numbers you see from January to February are Zach, Dawn, and Chelsea. So while 84 is our goal, that's going to be one of those things where it is basically from April on. We are very happy with those first 3 months compared to where we normally are. After the first 3 months of the year, it's normally just a slaughter show. So, and then even in March, we had some expenses, about $10,000 worth that are once a year expenses. We did our donations to our charities, which was $4,000. We had taxes, bunch of just random yearly stuff that added up. So literally when I finished it for March, Dawn went, we spent $26,000 last month. And I said, yes, but we did $4,000 with the donations, we had the taxes, etc.
You took a $10,000 pay raise.
I wish.
So
Brittany, you can get on that for me.
Okay. Well, good. So transparency speaking, and you mentioned, the first quarter is typically a slaughter fest. Now, I think, well, number one, it's indisputable that there is such thing as seasonality. Obviously, less homes sell in the winter months in Wisconsin. I think that how much it affects each team or agent is in their control to some point. And I also think that for a team, it's going to affect a team more than it's going to affect an individual agent, just because we're so dependent on selling X amount of homes a month to break even. And so when you don't sell those, if you have a month or two where you don't sell that, it's really scary when you look at down to the net income, which you'll be able to see when I show my spreadsheet. So you look at this, okay, you got 68.5 for the year. You're averaging about 23 a month. Do you have any idea what April looks like for commissions?
I got to figure out the number, but we had 12 closings scheduled. Now we have 10. So we're probably going to double the GCI, if not more, for that we had in February. I mean, April is going to be very good for us.
Okay. So you had 2 closings in January, because this one is the income from the first one. 2 buyers. Then in February, you had 4 closings, 3 buyers and 1 listing.
Yep.
And in March,
I probably should have filled that out. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah.
As I try to do it on my screen, and I'm like, wait, that's not my spreadsheet. Oops.
you failed. Just kidding.
I
So
did.
then you had 4. Do you know how many were listings? On
I think that let me see. I can't tell you off the top of my head, to be quite honest.
Well, that'll take you about 30 seconds. So, once you put
Yeah.
some focus into it. So when we look at, let me look at this. Oh, Nicole, you're reading my mind. I'll get there. So when we look at GCI, then the next important step is cost of sales. So especially when you're running a team, we're all going to have cost of sales, but the team, the reason why team commissions is first is because if you do have a team, that's going to be the most. And then company and referral commissions, lead capture commissions, transaction management, client concessions. So when you look at your deals, I mean, the good news about not selling a lot of sales is you don't have a lot of cost of sales. If you ever want to be like a very, very glass half full person, but you've got company dollar, and then Chelsea had one of the splits.
Yep.
Okay. And then you guys aren't capped. So the 4 deals you got was company dollar. And then one of those deals, you did not charge the BACs to the agent when you listed it. Do you know why? Do you ever ask like, hey, why was this one not charged? Because you guys do a buyer agency fee and you do $5.95. So was it like a repeat client or a double client, or do you know?
I believe it was a buy sell,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. Normally, if
So-
it's a buy sell, they won't charge the fee.
Okay.
Dawn and Zach at least. So
Cool. Yeah, that's good to know. And then it's good if you're doing this to like question them or ask them like, hey, get your crap together. No, just kidding. But just like asking them, sometimes maybe that extra accountability, it'd be like, oh yeah, they weren't wanting to pay it, and it just like having to say it out loud. But I love the fact that there's a set system. If you buy and you sell, we'll waive this. That's up front. It's not like they're caving. That's their business decision, which is really good. But it would be good to know that. So now you get into March cost of sales. You had an outside agent referral, so that came from someone else across the country.
Yep.
Do you know what this was?
So
Camera
yeah,
crew?
so one of those closings in March was a listing, and the people moved to Kentucky, so it was actually the referral, and they went to do the final walkthrough, the buyer did, and there was a whole bunch of crap in the house. And so Dawn called Camo Crew, they got it out of there. The lady was supposed to pay us back. Keyword in that sentence was supposed to. So we now have a $1,500 bill for Camo Crew that we paid. So
Yikes.
yep, but the deal didn't fall apart. Just all the commission.
So I would put that in. Sometimes it goes upside down like this. I don't know if you notice when you're doing the drop down, but typically if you scroll more to the top, and because it's so big for Nicole to see, but now it goes the right order. So I would just label this one as like anything that would be 5-50. I think you added another 0 here, or maybe I did. But anything that's 5-5, hold on a second. Now you got me confused. 5-5600. This should really be.
I think I just added an extra 0 to.
This should really be 5-6000, and then I think you just added an extra 5, or I did. It could have clearly been me too. I'll look at mine in a second. So under client concessions, I mean, that right now could be other, but you could also label this one like cleanup or whatever you wanted to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was gonna add something in there. I just think I forgot, to be quite honest.
I love the honesty. Okay. So
I don't need to lie on here.
I don't know if you saw what I just did, but it had that little red like notice on there because I changed the code. So I just wrote the right code. But anytime you change it in there, you'll see a little red alert. And like if I just typed in like that, it would have this little red alert. And it's like, hey, it's not a valid drop down. It's not one of the options. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward with March. Now, again, you noticed this. We made some changes in that cost of sale piece. And now these aren't showing up. and I'll do this on here because it's a valuable lesson. So I just don't see a way around this that I know of yet. So I apologize. But if you make a change to that master, this says it's pulling from 0.35 and I just did this with myself. It ran out of rows. Let me see. Oh, I might be confusing all of you, but there's a couple quick changes whenever you change this master list right here. It feeds into here, and all you can do is just scroll down, and now this is updated. And now this should be updated. And all I'm doing right here is I'm adding a row because it needed a row. Taking a side note here. I apologize. Because for some reason this one's still showing up. Do you mind if I fix this offline?
Yeah, you're good.
I could just keep going. So when I look at this number here, it's on 35. It should really be on 37 now, this grand total. So I would have to just change this. I mean, I could just change it to 37. And the numbers you'll see will start showing up again, dragging it over. Okay. So your cost of sales, you want to be at 37 or under, you're at 17.5. Now, like I said, you haven't had a lot of sales, so there's not going to be a lot of cost of sales. But that's what it looks like. Now, this gross profit number, I'd want to challenge you on to bring to your team. And this is this is what our coaches are challenging us on right now is how many deals on average per month would it take you to get your gross profit goal that you need to break even is number one. But then also to actually, we don't want to break even. We want to thrive. So knowing the number, like this is for anyone, and this isn't an exact number, it's just in theory, how much gross profit would you need to break even? It would have to match what?
Expenses plus cost of sale?
Just expenses.
Okay.
So gross profit is your profit after cost of sales. So cost of sales is could be tricky because it can vary so much per month. Let's say you have a month where Dawn sells 4 listings and you just have 1 buyer sale. Your cost of sales is going to be like minimum on you're capped or you're not capped, or they're referrals from other agents or they're not. Like cost of sales, there's so much out of your control and it's so much up and down. But expenses, you should really be able to lock in and understand at a high level, at least maybe not to the dollar per month, but you should have a really good idea of how much it would take you per month to break even. And so your gross profit would need to match your expenses, because that's really the formula from here is gross profit minus expenses equals net profit. So we're just going to use these numbers. I know this is the numbers that we have right now. So just on average, it takes you 18 grand a month this year so far to run your business. And when you have 6 to 9 months, you've got more accurate data, but right now 18 grand. So you would say, ironically, you guys have on average about 18.9 of gross profit per month, and here we go. You got 2 grand of net income. So the question you should bring to Dawn and Zach and everyone is, okay, how many deals on average would it take you to get $18,500 of gross profit per month? And that is that is like the break even. And then how many deals per month? Like, so that's not even surviving. That's still like dying. You're just not bleeding. You're not losing money. You're not making money. How many deals per month of gross profit average would it take you to survive? How many would it take you to feel successful? How many would it take you to thrive or feel significant? For us, we average about like 4,500 of gross profit per deal. Some we might have zero cost of sales, some we might have 10 grand cost of sales, whatever. But like, if you average it out, we're about 4,500. So if you were to ask me, how many deals would it take to get to 18.5? It would probably be like 4 and to be safe, I'd probably say 5. Your team would have like, if that's the case, your team would have like 5 deals a month would be your break even point. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
So really focusing on that is key. Then expenses, you're looking at, you had 12, you had 16, you had 26. So you want to be at 35% or less. So far you're at 79% or 80. Now, not necessarily sure that's a expense problem, that's an income problem. So if you had 84 grand times 3, you'd have $252,000 and you spent 54.5. You'd be at 21% expenses. Do you have any, so, and for those of you that haven't looked at this yet, this is a different way of doing it. We've got a drop-down menu that's searchable. There's videos right here. You click the video, but you copy and paste everything in here and then you label it. So what you've got, you spent 54, you had 54 expenses in January. You had 60 in February, 59. just for like fun to know. But you label everything in the chart of account. Do you have any questions around this?
Me personally, no.
Okay.
A lot. What you'll see with the yellow stuff there is typically just stuff I'm not sure of, and then Dawn looks into it, and I think I actually got an answer from those on her. I think that those were flowers for a new agent, or something. I don't know.
If this is yellow, then I need my eyes checked.
It's orange.
Okay, good. I was like,
did I say yellow?
Yeah. There's like a high percentage of men that are colorblind, and I'm like, oh no. All right, so I'm gonna look when you do that this way, then it comes over here, and I'm just gonna scroll up so we don't look at like salaries and things, but the breakdown here. So payroll, taxes. So were you talking about payroll taxes or your actual taxes?
No, there was actual business taxes. 925 right there. 9410.
Okay. Do you guys pay those quarterly?
I don't know when she pays them, to be quite honest. It was just on the credit card bill, so I put it in.
Yeah. It's to pay my tax preparer. Bye.
Oh. Who was that? What's happening? Okay, so it's not going to taxes, it's to pay that person.
There you go. There's the answer.
Sense. So, because to Nicole's point, what we want to do with this spreadsheet is we want to track what it actually takes to run your business. And I know an accountant will like, they're trying to make you make as little amount of money as possible. What the point of Gary Keller accounting is to make it as realistic as possible. So you would take this number, this net income number at the end of the year, right here, and then you would deduct your taxes from there. And if that makes sense. So you wouldn't say like, oh, I paid $4,000 of taxes this quarter. Now my expenses are 30 grand this month instead of 26. So that's good clarity around that for me. And Nicole, you're the star student of the day because you picked up on that right away too.
What I also want to bring attention to is what are those service fees and bank charges? How do you get rid of those?
Is that at the bottom?
It was right underneath the taxes. Like, you need to go
Yeah,
to
that's a
bank to
great
get rid of
question.
those service fees.
It's probably my credit card. I have a credit card balance right now. And so we're paying interest. And then we had a couple of random bank fees.
Get on that, Dawn.
I know. April is a good month and we're gonna get it all taken care of, so we won't have it anymore.
Hey Rob, I'm gonna just for clarity on this, this can all be changed right away, but I'm going to just sort this based on the chart of account instead of the day.
Yeah.
So then we can see. So if you ever, the beauty of spreadsheets is if you ever want to sort it by whatever, like I would just go column F and then you can add another, you can sort it by whatever, but the way I do it is I go column F and then column B because it puts it in chart of account order and then it puts it in chronological order from there. So now you can see so the annual membership fee probably of like whatever credit card and then interest. So we called out Dawn. Now she was on the spot. And then
I wasn't gonna say it, but I knew what the answer was.
And then the other cool part about this is those that are blank, you don't even have to highlight because they'll just be at the bottom. But you can highlight too. Just don't scare me with the colors. So that's how I leave it like after the month is up, just so then I can say like, okay, if I have a question on this, then I can go right to the same, it's in the same chronological order as that.
That makes sense.
Your workers' comp insurance seems like you would only have to pay that like one time a year too. But
I think it was one of those things where it got paid it spilled over from last year into this year or something like that.
Now, is there anything on here that since you've been doing this, you guys didn't pay the sunshine fee? Oh my God, I'm reporting you.
It's on there. It's on there. It's in the spreadsheet.
Kidding.
I don't know why it didn't pull it. It didn't
Diana,
pull any of that stuff.
Yeah, Diana, can you, I have an issue with level up. Just kidding.
It's in there. It's in the chart
Okay.
of the expenses. I don't know why it didn't pull it.
Well, I'll look at that too, like offline, just because these aren't pulling either, like the MLS fees, and unless you just found a way to not pay.
No, they're in there. They were paid.
Is there anything in here that you guys have identified as like stuff you could cut out?
So last year, towards the end of the year, when I came on, we had been using Conversion Monster for a while. And so it took a little bit, but we were able to decide not to move forward with it and basically almost imitate what they were doing through our own system, through auto plans and stuff. And so that was $2,000 a year that we were spending on that we saved. Although they did get us for one last lead before they left us, but.
Okay. Your payroll taxes were, I mean, and maybe again, it's not pulling, there might be something wrong for January, but do you know if this was like, did you guys add more people? Is that accurate? Or was it like you got paid on the 1st and the 31st, like it was an extra
It-
payment or something?
It all depends on, well, it's two things. March had one payroll with Yoli in it, so that was
Okay.
an extra person. And then it depends if Dawn pays herself or not. So
Okay.
sometimes
And you
she
guys
does
just had a,
take a check.
you guys had a lot of listing appointments in March?
Yep.
So, okay. And the reason why photos and videos are are expenses instead of cost of sales, because believe it or not, it's at one point, not every listing sold in a day. So you could take on photos, videos, $300, $400 for listing, and it would sit for 6 months and it wouldn't sell. And you'd be praying you'd get a buyer lead instead of a seller lead. Because you knew if you had a buyer lead, you're gonna get a closing, where a seller lead, it was like 50-50. Those were the days. All right, and then closing donations, you bought that for like the whole year, you said, right?
Yes, so that is for all of last year. They were paid in March.
Okay. So when you look at these numbers, like, yeah, it says 18 grand. I would probably argue that it would be closer to like 16 or 15 grand, once it all averages out. But
Yeah.
until that happens, like, plan on saying, oh, it will take 4 deals or 5 deals just to break even, or, get on that mantra and go to work. Because until you have a place for your every dollar, you won't work as hard as you would for that dollar. And that really is especially for your personal life too. If you ever need a visual, just think of Happy Gilmore yelling at his ball to go home in the hole. Like, that's, you want to treat every dollar to like send it to its home, and its home is simply, these buckets, and maybe the home is, heaven forbid, like this bucket, the net income bucket. Like, you want to take it to your home. But yeah, just really getting clear around that. So the last thing around yours is I added this part here, and it may be a little confusing, but I basically wanted to just have an to the month or update on your percentage to goal. So as of end of March, you're 6.8% to your GCI goal. Now the year is a fourth over, so you're 6.8% to the goal, and the year is 25% over. So like, it gives you a good gauge to be like, hey, am I at goal, behind goal, ahead of goal? Cost of sale, it's flipped. Like, you don't want to be at your cost of sale goal. You want to be as low as possible. So you're actually doing okay there. And same with expenses. Like, actually being below your expense goal, meaning 15% and 25% of the year's over, that's a good thing, if that makes sense. So it's like a double negative. So yeah, any questions with level up?
I'm good.
I just want to ask a question. Those closing donations, is that like to KWKC and KW Cares and
No, so at level up, every I think it was December, we have our meeting, and we decide on 4 charities that we're going to pick to do a closing donation of $100 per closing to. The client technically gets to pick which one they would like. Most of the time people don't pick. So, I think, maybe 10 people picked out of everyone we had. So then we just split the rest of it evenly across the 4 charities.
cool. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. One last question for you is around brevity. Is there a world or a time or like any, and this is just more curiosity than judgment. Has there ever been a conversation around maybe not, are you using that for the leads, or are you using that just for the CRM, or because that was what, like 700-800 a month?
So it is kind of everything now. So they just keep adding stuff that, like, we were paying for CTE. We don't pay for that anymore because it's in Brivity. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that it is a lot better than Command. And so I think if we were struggling, it would go, but I think that we're on track to be where we want to go, if that makes sense.
Perfect.
So I think for now it is something that is a necessity for us.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, Brivity got about a 2-year head start or 3-year head start, over Command. And I always think about, why didn't they just look to partner and, and pour all of KW's resources into all of Ben Kinney's resources? But that's neither
I
here
heard
nor
a-
there.
I heard a rumor that they tried to and they were
He
turned
said
down.
no. Yeah. That would be, I wouldn't put that past him, but okay, I just wanted to ask. Okay, so perfect. Nicole, do you want to go? Did you freeze? She's just very stoic. It'd be really impressive if she just was pretending right now. Nicole, okay, I got storms rolling through. Do you want to go? Do you want me to show yours, or did you even send me yours?
You should have it. I mean, I do it on the drive.
That should be a song. I do it on the drive. Maybe it shouldn't be.
I shouldn't be doing anything except driving because I'm already bad at that.
All right, I do not, for whatever reason, have it. If you want to send it to me. I'll show you mine quick because I do want to spend a little bit of time, I said, on the on the personal one. And I X'd mine out like I have really fat fingers. Okay, so you're gonna see ours is a big team. We're having a lot of the same issues or struggles as Level Up, more or less on steroids. And I'll point out just the most important things is, GCI goal 176, which leads to 146,666.67 a month. And if you guys ever see Katie, tell her to change that number to a 3. Just kidding. So then the months are tracked, and instead of having 146 a month of commission, we have averaged 40,000 a month of commission. So it's a big gap. Commission to us, not all commission and not all closings are the same. So in January, we had 4 listings sell and 1 buyer. In February, we had 4 listings sell and 1 buyer. And in March, we had technically 4 buyers sell, because this one was mine. It was my flip. So you can see the income there. Now, every buyer sale, it's a guarantee basically that we're giving away 50%. So 50% of this money's gone. Now in January and February, there was some that we did not have a cost of sale. Jeremy closed it. So actually our biggest sale, so we had 12,800 of commission and we had $0 cost of sale. So our gross profit on that deal was 12,800. Now, if you take a look at the 12,800s of the world that we got to keep, and then you go into like this one, was a sale, but we each made 1680. If you just average all of those out, our gross profit is about 4,500. So instead of getting too in the weeds and too detailed, that's what we're shooting for. And we did that over more than just a 3-month period, but it's pretty accurate for that 3-month period. Now, also in February, we had a big sale that Jeremy did. It looked like it's 9,400. That was no cost to sale. So if you guys were smart business people and you were running a team and you had about $35,000-$40,000 of expenses of support and people, and you knew that, like, if you closed a deal, you got 100% of it, what do you think you would logically look to do?
Do that more.
Yeah, so I don't want to go too much into details, but I want to point out how numbers can tell stories. And if you're a solo agent, it'll tell different stories. But Jeremy and I are committed now to going back into production, into selling listings. And we're coming up with appointment goals and closing goals and listing goals. So because we basically need this, it's not a option at this point. So the stories that this tells is, yeah, we had like 5 closings each month. In these months, 5 closings in February got us twice as much income as 5 closings in March. And 5 closings in February got us 3 times the gross profit it did in March. So a lot of this stuff, there's 2 sides of every coin. Now, the other thing that we're really putting a ton of time in, and I said that as dramatically as I possibly could, is cutting out expenses. And if you're in the homegrown cappers, which I don't think Sheila was, I talked about the PACE plan, and the PACE is a military term from our coach, but it's, you set out a primary plan that would be like your GPS for the year. And while you set out your primary plan, you set out an alternative plan if your primary plan doesn't happen. And then if your alternative plan doesn't happen, you set out a contingency plan. And then if that doesn't happen, you set out an emergency plan. So we're actively working on these 4 plans that we don't have to think about in the moment. And they're all going to be activated based on our gross profit of 4,500 per sale, how many sales a month we need. An example would be, if we need 15 sales, just say, to break even. Well, if we don't hit 15 sales, if we get 14 or less, this happens. Our plan changes. We may have to let someone go. We may have to get rid of this expense, but we're building that all out right now. And we also have taken pretty significant changes into our expenses. So as you see April, not only do we have twice as many sales, which isn't saying much for us, but our expenses will be lower. And then in May, our expenses will be even lower and our sales will be like the same or more than April. So you can correct yourself by making more money or by spending less money. And it's really hard to correct yourself. It's really hard to earn your way out of a rut. It's also not as in your control. So lots and lots of decisions, conversations, and everything has been put into this as a necessity. But without this snapshot, like, it would be really hard to know what's going on. So with that being said, a lot of the same lessons is level up. I don't have Nicole's yet, but is there any questions on our teams? Okay, cool. So I'm gonna spend about 10 minutes here. Rob, you look really cold. Are you outside?
I am sitting in front of the venue in Vermont. waiting for my favorite band to play later tonight. So
Dedication.
Like, if I saw you, like, let's say I walked by, it would take me 1,000 guesses before I guessed you were on like a budget mastermind.
the funny thing is that the band knows that I am working from the line. So
Yeah. All right. So this KW wealth spreadsheet that Katie put into the link, you're able to track your net worth for the year. Okay, Nicole, I'll look for it. I'm sure it's on me. Your future net worth, any cash flow for the year, future cash flow. But what I'm going to focus on today is exactly the same. And I know you can't see my head because I'm trying to read this, but what I'm going to focus on today, it's exactly the same as what we do for the business. So you're not even going to see, like, it's the same exact system. So if you guys get comfortable with tracking in the business, this is the same. Now, this chart of account came from about 35 one-on-one meetings, and there may be something you can spend your money on that's not on here. I can't think of anything. So if you end up using this and you say, oh, well, what about blah, then I'll add it. But what I did is anything that starts with a 4 would be a lifestyle expense. And then you look at it the same as you look at business. So 4-1000 is about your house, because I figure everyone has a house, whether you own or rent. I'm renting right now, so mortgage payment, I just use it for my rent payment. Consumables, so we look at food and groceries, restaurants, supplies, clothes, gifts, alcohol, fees and tickets. That's where Dawn probably has like $800 in tickets a month, like speeding tickets, not underage tickets. Just kidding. Just want to get a rise out of her. So if you have children, if you have pets, your automobile, your entertainment, health and wellness and beauty, professional services, and then insurance. So anything with a 4 is like a lifestyle expense. Anything that's a 5, you would be like a charity, or like your tithing. You tithe to your church, you tithe to your charity. If you want to add more, 5-1000, 2000, 3000, you're able to, but I just have 2 in there. 6 would be savings. You might be saving for kids' college, or you might be saving for kids' wedding. Maybe you're putting, or you're not putting, but maybe you could put $200 a month or something, and you're just actively saving. Your parents' long-term health or care, travel, you might put in like $250 a month every single month, so you can travel in the future and you don't have to take out the credit card. Or if you do take out the credit card, you pay it off. You're not just putting everything on debt. So this is like self-explanatory, but everything with a 6 is savings. Everything is a 7 would be investing in retirement. Everything with an 8 would be your debt. So I really attempted to make this all encompassing. And then you can label everything either a need, part of your lifestyle. So a lifestyle is like, hey, I could cut this, but I don't want to cut it because it's part of my lifestyle. It's like brevity, could cut it, but I don't want to cut it. Your dream life is like, hey, this is like, I just went to Disney and Universal. Like, that is part of a dream life. That's like, that's where I labeled it. And then you can cut. So here's the chart of accounts. And then you do the same thing with expenses. So what you do is you just copy and paste the date, you copy and paste the expense, and then you label it. So you get very, very clear. And what I'm going to show you, I'm just going to look into February because I highlighted some stuff in orange. I'm such an idiot. I highlighted some stuff in yellow that I labeled or identified as stuff I could get rid of. And that to me is exciting. So before I share this, like, there's a disclaimer that like I've discovered that I spend a lot of money. Like I've made a lot of money, and without like really proper like view over it, it's easy to be like, oh, I'll just buy this, I'll just buy this, I'll just buy this, I'll just buy this. So like try not to judge me too much because I'm realizing things about myself. But with that said, like everything is labeled, like groceries. And now some groceries are a need and some to me are a lifestyle. And what I'll tell you, what I'll say is like I order groceries from Amazon Fresh. So Amazon Fresh, you tip them. And I added all the tips. So it's maybe like 4 or 5 times. This to me is not a need. I do not physically need to order groceries from Amazon Fresh. I could drag my ass out to the grocery store and do it. Right? Does that so I need groceries, but I don't need to order from Amazon Fresh. So even the grocery piece I call a need because I do believe like the prices are good, but this tip is a convenience fee. So I got really clear around what is a need, what is a lifestyle, because what I really want to know is what do I need to live on? Because everything else then, it's just a mindset. Like, did I need to go to, I freaking love tropical smoothie apparently. I went there like 4 times in March, tropical smoothie. Do I need to spend like $60 a month at tropical smoothie? No, I don't. So it's just reality. It's in your face. Now, the one item that's really hard for me, and I'm not putting too much time into it, is like anything from Target, anything from Amazon, anything in that nature, like it just shows up as Amazon. So I just label it right now as shopping items. If I wanted to get really in the weeds and detailed, I could keep the receipt and be like, oh, this was clothes and this was this, but I just want to get a feel for it. What I also looked is like my convenience bills. So I have iTunes, which I cut, but I got Spotify, so that doesn't make sense. I was like I quit smoking, but now I'm smoking cigars. So this is 421. Anyways, I can't think about this. So I'm cutting it. I have Apple TV, I have Prime Video, I have Hulu, I have Netflix, and I have HBO. You know what they do? They call that cable. Like in the future, they're going to bundle all this together and just going to call it cable. So I'm cutting tomorrow. I'm cutting Apple TV, cutting Prime Video. I have iCloud on my phone, but I have Google Drive. Like I don't need it. I even asked yesterday, I'm cutting HBO Max. I am keeping Hulu because I need to watch Shark Tank. Like I watch Shark Tank and that's the only place. I could look in YouTube and see if they're there. And if I can find Shark Tank somewhere for free, I'll cut Hulu. I'm going to keep Netflix for now because to me, oh, I have it as cut. Ugh. Anyways, you get the point. I go out a decent amount and so what I'm doing with my with this is I created this savings tab and it's saying like, well, I can't do anything about January, February, March. And you know, maybe April, but like I put in here like, okay, Apple TV is $734 a month. And I can say if I'm cutting that for the rest of the year. And it adds up. So like just from this discovery just yesterday, I found about $2,500, you know, $3,000 a month that I could save. And to me, I mean, that's very significant. And so a couple of things is like, I don't want to not ever go out and like get a drink, but like actually having a budget, like, hey, I could give $100 a month to that, or $150 a month to supplements, or $600 a month to like shopping. Like these numbers, they're not set in stone, but it was just literally my yesterday where I'm going into this and I'm putting time into it. And like, I have a car wash, an automatic car wash, 23 a month. Do I need that? I do a lot for my self in terms of like personal care appointments, therapy, and like acupuncture and chiropractor and all those things. So I do the stretch zone, which is in Brookfield. So I'm just like, okay, what can I cut for a while? And some of these things, it's not like, hey, I'm attempting to cut this forever. Like even alcohol right now, I'm like, hey, I'll commit to 2 months of like cutting it down and not after that as of right now. And same with like travel. Like I won't travel, I won't spend money in June or July. But I don't know, this helped me try to conceptualize the year and what I can spend. So the last thing that I'll show you is then you can go into this COA just the same exact way. Yes, so there's a video, but you would export from your bank statement or export from your online, and you could just export 3 tabs. So I export the expense tab, the date tab, and the description tab. So then you just got to make sure they all match. And then all you have to do is, if you have the description here, then you do a drop down label. So it's very slick. So, the cool part about labeling them into 4 is in the pivot table. If you click the plus button, you can count out like what you can cut, what you spent for dream life, what you spent for lifestyle, and what you spent for need. So you have your whole total if you just want to see your total that you spend. Or you can say like, hey, how much could I cut? And that's where you can make good numbers, like good clarity. Now you're not going to know a lot from like 1 month or 2 months. Like it's very similar to your personal, but or to your business, but over time, like you can really start to understand like who you are, what you can cut. So that's what I'm committed to. And I would love it if people hopped on next month or the month after and they're just like, hey, here's my personal stuff. Here's what I learned. I can save $400. I put it into my business, or whatever the story may be. I think we could get some really cool stories. Nicole,